Hi children, good morning. I welcome all 7th standard students to today's recorded video class. I hope so. This is the first video class on language. So listen to me very carefully. And more than that children, before to start today's class, I welcome all students of grade 7 to today's video class. And I wish you all a disease-free, healthy and COVID-19 free and happy academic year. Till schools get reopened, all lessons of all subjects will be taught only through online mode. So children, pay your good attention to video classes. Don't miss your online classes at any cost. Okay, fine. Do you know children, today what you are going to learn in today's video class? See, the first lesson, 3 questions by Leo Tolstoy. Before to explain in detail the lesson, let me give you a brief introduction about the writer Leo Tolstoy. I hope all of you know that he is the most popular Russian writer, Leo Tolstoy. He is the most popular Russian writer. Okay. And then he was a great philosopher and a novelist. He was not only a writer, Leo Tolstoy, he was also a philosopher and he was also a novelist. And more than that, if you go through the writings of Leo Tolstoy, you can find a good place for God and moral values. Okay, so his writings are marked by great faith in God in almost all his writings and respect for moral values that you can find in all his writings. His best creation, he is best known for war and peace. War and peace. This is widely read by the people all over the world. He is best known for these things. Okay, fine. So let me recall about the writer in brief about the writer. The author of this lesson, Leo Tolstoy. He was a Russian writer. He was one of the most popular Russian writers. And he was not only a writer, but he was also a philosopher and a novelist. You can find a good place for God and moral values in most of his writings. And he was best known for War and Peace, a novel written by the great Tolstoy. Okay, fine, children. Now, shall we see the theme and moral of this lesson? You know that every short story must have some moral or theme. Like that, most of the short stories, they must have a moral. So moral of these short stories, the theme of wisdom, acceptance, kindness and forgiveness. So these 4 are the wisdom. Okay, and then acceptance, and then kindness, and then forgiveness. Actually, this short story deals with question raised by a king who wants to know answer for these questions. What are all the questions raised by the king and how he get answer for all these questions, from whom he got answer, when he got answers, how the answers for these questions helped the king. All these things we are going to see in this lesson. Okay children, very fine. Okay, so the moral of this lesson or the theme of this lesson is based on these 4 good noble qualities of a king. A king should be a man of wisdom. A king should be ready to accept the suggestions given by the counselors, that is the noble quality of acceptance. A king should be kind to his subjects. A king should be ready to forgive the misdeeds done by the subjects. Okay, fine. So, once there was a king Once there was a king, he was ruling his country in a justice manner, in a very justice manner. Once there was a king who was ruling his country in a very justice manner. And more than that, the king thought that he would never fail if he knew three important things. See, the king who was ruling the country in a very justice manner, he was known for his justice. Apart from that, the king thought he would never fail if he knew answer for three things. What are those three things? Yeah, the king raised three questions. He thought that if he knew answer for these three questions, then he would never fail. That was a thought the king had in his mind. What are those three things? See, I will write all the three questions for which he wants to know the answer. Let me write the questions one by one. The three questions. Okay, this is the first question. Three questions raised by the king. The first question: what is the right time to begin something? What's the right time to begin something? Okay, this first question was raised by the king and he wanted to know answer for this first question. What's the second question raised by the king? Whom he can listen to? Whom he can listen to? The second question, whom he can listen to. Okay, fine. Third question, what is the most important thing to do? What is the most important thing to do? Okay, let me repeat again. The king wanted to know answer for these three questions. If he knew answer for these three questions, then he would never fail in his life. So, the three questions. What's the right time to begin something? You know that we have lot of works, but we cannot do all the works at a time. And more than that, we may have some idea in our mind to start some works at a proper time. Every work should be done at a proper time. We have to start the work at proper time. Unless otherwise you won't get the result. For example, when you will prepare for your exam at proper time, you have to start your preparation for your exam at the right time. You have to plan it well in advance. Okay. Similarly, the king also wanted to know the right time to begin something. Okay, this is quite common. Everyone will have the same question in our mind. See, in our school, our principal, our teachers, at your home, your parents, at the district level, the collector, at the state level, the CM, at the national level, the Prime Minister. All these officials, they have the same question in their mind. They want to know the right time to begin something. Okay, fine. Second question, which was raised by the king, is whom he can listen to. The same question we too may have in our mind. You have to listen to the words of your teachers. You have to listen to the words of your parents. You have to listen to the words of elderly people and wise people. Same way, the king also have the same question in his mind. Whom he can listen to. Okay, fine. We cannot listen to the words of all the people. Then there will be a confusion. Okay, fine. Third question. What is the most important thing to do? We have lot of works, but there are some works which should be done properly. Beforehand, we have to do certain works, and we can postpone some work for future. So we have some proper priorities and choice. According to that, we can go for doing our work. Okay, fine. So in the same way, the king has three questions in his mind. So he sent the messengers all over the kingdom, and he also announced that he invited the answer for these three questions from the wise people. Who gave the appropriate answer for these three questions will be rewarded. That announcement also has been made by the king. So he sent the messengers all over the kingdom to collect the answer for these three questions. So some wise people approached the king and they gave their suggestion as an answer for these questions. Now I will write all the answers. The different answers were given by the people for first questions. 3 or 4 options were given. 3 or 4 different answers were given for the first questions. And the 3 answers, see, different answers were given for the second questions also, for the third question also. So not only one answer, many answers were given for all these questions by different people. But none of the answer is most appropriate or appealing to the mind of the king. So what answers probably were given by the wise people? Yeah, let me explain the answers. Okay, children? Yeah. See, before to find the answer, I told you the 3 important questions which was raised by the king. You should know all the 3 questions. See, there are 3 questions. The Leo Tolstoy. Can you see this picture clearly, children? Leo Tolstoy. See, yeah, play by Elizabeth Theatre Group. See, and see the 3 questions by Leo Tolstoy. What are all the 3 questions which were raised by the king? I see. There are 3 questions. As I wrote on the board, what is the right time to begin something? Whom he can listen to? What is the most important thing to do? See, the answers, possible answers were given by people. See the 3 answers. Can you see the answers clearly, children? Yeah. See the first one. The most important time is now. Present time is very important. Why they suggested the present time is most important than other times? Because present time is certain and it is in your hand. The present time is in your hand. So the past is past. See the past is past. The most important time is the present moment, because the past is gone away from us and the future is uncertain. So the moral of the story is to live in the present moment. To live in the present moment. And then the most important person is the one you are with whom you are. He is the most important person, because he is only going to be with you. He is going to help you and you are also going to help you. Therefore you can listen to the words of the person who is with you. That's a answer, possible answer given for the second one. And what's the third one? The most important pursuit is to do good to that person, the person who is with you. Okay, these 3 possible answers were given by the people, the wise people. But see what happens, let me explain. See, when the king raised these 3 questions and when he wanted to know the answer for these 3 questions, different group of wise people approached the king and they gave their own answer. Let me write the answers, possible answers which were given by these wise people to the king. Okay, I will write the question as well as answers on the board, then you can easily understand. Right time. See, in the first question, right time. Right time to do things. When? That was a question raised by the king. Okay. Yeah. What are the options which were given by the people? See, answers for the first one. In reply to the first question, some said to know the right time, a king has to draw up in advance a timetable. First option, timetable. A king has to prepare his own timetable. The timetable should be consisting of days. The timetable should be consisting of days, weeks, months. Okay, the timetable should be consisting of days, months, days, weeks, and sometimes years also. So a king has to prepare his own timetable. Based on the timetable only, he has to start his work. He should stick on to the timetable always. He should not deviate from the timetable. Let me explain. See, when you have exam, sometimes a school will announce an exam, first term test you are going to have on so and so date. What will you do? Immediately you will prepare your own timetable. Okay, based on timetable, you start your preparation for the exam. In the same manner, some wise people suggested the king, if you want to know the exact time to start some works, you have to prepare your own timetable. The timetable should be consisting of days, weeks, months and years. Based on that, you can start your work. That was a possible answer given by some group of wise people. And the second option, what they told, the king should notice all that was going on. The king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. Council of wise people. A king must have a council of wise people. He himself cannot decide the right time. So he can hear, he can listen to the suggestion given by these wise people. Then with the help of them, he can understand the right time to start his work. Sometimes when you have some problems of fixing or deciding the time for to start your preparation, you may consult your teacher, you may consult your parents. They will give you good suggestion. This is the right time. You have only these many days in your hand. Within these 3 days, how many days will you allot for English? How many days will you allot for maths? How many days will you allot for science subjects? In this way, they will help you. In the same way, a group of wise people suggested the king to consult the counselors. They will give right suggestion for the king when they will start the work, when he has to start the work. Okay, fine. It is difficult to find the right time without the help of others. And then the third suggestion, the decide the right time for doing something is to look into the future. If you want to know the right time to start a work, you should know the future. So, normally it is not possible for the people to predict something which will happen, what will happen in future. Therefore, they suggested he has to depend upon the magicians. Magicians. Yeah, magicians can do that. The king therefore would have to go to magicians. Okay. Fine. Now, listen, children. See, I will give you the possible answers. So, the king raised the first question, the right time to do things. For that question, a group of wise people gave different answers, different options they have given. A king has to prepare his own timetable. The timetable should be consisting of days, weeks, months and years also. So with the help of the timetable, a king can start his work properly at the right time. And more than that, other suggestions were given by the people. He should listen to the words of the council of the wise people, because what they suggested, a king himself cannot decide the right time to start his work. Therefore, he has to listen to the words of the wise people. Okay, fine. Then what's the third suggestion given? Magicians. A king cannot decide what will happen in the future. So he has to depend upon the magicians. Magicians only can guide him properly. So a king has to go to magicians. Okay, fine. See, these possible answers were given by the people. See, a king has to prepare his own timetable. See, he has to prepare his own timetable. Days, months, years, okay, everything he has to prepare. So, and then he has to see clockwise when he has to start the work. So a king has to prepare his own timetable. Based on that, he has to start his work. And he has to listen to the words of the counselors. He has to listen to the words of magicians also. So these suggestions were given by a group of wise people as an answer or in response to the answer for the first question. Okay, children? Yeah. Then answer for the second question. What was the second question? Whom he can listen to? Yeah. Could you remember? Whom he can listen to? That was a question raised. Second question. Second question. Whom he can listen to. Whom he can listen to. This was the question raised by the king. For the second question, various options, suggestions were given by different people. What are all the answers given to the king as an answer for the second question? In the answers to the second question, some said that people most necessary to the king were his counselors. The most important people which are very necessary to the king were counselors. So he has to listen to the words of his counselors because they are always with the king. They are the part and parcel of the courtiers, and they guide the king in many ways, and they give suggestions to the king before to take the decisions. They are always with the king. Therefore, they are the right people to listen to. That was a suggestions given by some wise people. Really, the good suggestions only they have given. Okay, fine. And some group of people suggested that people most necessary to the king were the priest. The people most necessary to the king were the priest, because they are the religious minded people. They are doing religious service to the people. They never suggest any wrong things. They will never go in a wrong way. They are always righteous in their path. Therefore, they are the right people to give good suggestion to the king. That was the idea of those people who give this answer to the second question. Then third, another group of people approached the king and they gave their own answer. What is their answer? The king has to choose doctors. Doctors are the most responsible persons in the society. They were born, they are doing their selfless service to save the people. You know that in this pandemic period, in this COVID-19, how the doctors are doing the clockwise service to save the people. So they are the more responsible people, they are more committed. Okay, children, I hope so. So a king has to depend on the doctors. In those days, they have many doctors, physicians in the kingdom. They can give right suggestion to the king. Okay, fine. And some group approached the king and they gave their own answer. What answer they given? The soldiers. You know that the soldiers are also more responsible because they have the responsibility of protecting, defending their country from the invasion of the foreigners. So they have to protect their country. So the answer for the second questions, group of wise people have suggested the most important people to the king were counselors, first choice, then priest, then doctors, and then soldiers. Why they have suggested all these people to listen to? Because they have responsibility and they are always with the king, and they can give right suggestion to the king, and they can guide the king in the right path, in the right way. Okay, that's the reason. So every answer given by the wise people have some valid reason behind. See, counselors are always with the king. They are in the court, they are in the palace, so they can give right suggestion to the king. They will never misguide the king. And then priest, you know that they are religious minded people. They are doing service to the God, so they too will do good things for the king. And then doctors, you know that they are the selfless people. They were born to serve the society, so they too can guide the king in a right way. And then soldiers, their prime duty is to protect their country, defend their country from the foreign invasion, from the enemies. Therefore, they too will save the king by giving him right suggestion. Okay, so these answers were given for the second question. That too was listened to by the king. These people, see the right persons. See this one, right persons. See, first doctors. So doctors has to listen to. Then soldiers, they have to protect their country. And then see the priest. So these three peoples, to see, were listened to by the king. See, can you see this picture clearly, children? Doctors, the words of doctors has to be listened by the king, and then soldiers, because they have more responsibility, they are committed to defend their country. So the words of the soldiers has to be listened and then preached. They are religious minded people, they are doing religious service, they are doing service to the God, therefore they can guide the king in the right way, in the proper way. So these peoples have to listen to these possible answers and suggestions were given to the king by the people. Okay, now shall we go to the third question? What is the third question? The right thing to do. What is the right thing to do? Because a king has lot of works. A king has lot of works. He cannot do what is the most important thing to do. Everything. See? Third question. What is the most important thing to do? Okay. What is the most important thing to do? This is the third question raised by the king. Okay, children, let me explain the answer the king received for the third question. To the third question, some said science. So, a king must do, he has to give preference only to the work related with the science, agriculture, industrial development, and to keep their country, their kingdom from the pollution-free kingdom, how to make it, how to avoid it. So all these things the king has to take into his mind. So everything comes under the science only. So the king has to give more importance to the work related with the science. Science, the work related with the science has very good scope. Okay, so the king must do all these things, farming, everything comes under science only. So that is the duty of a king. He has to do that work related with the science. He has to keep the people, he has to create a disease-free kingdom. For all these things, a king has to do the work related with the science. Okay. Second, some says fighting. Fighting. Here fighting in the sense, a king has to strengthen his army. Protection is very important. You know that at the Ladakh, the frontier, day and night, our Indian soldiers are catching there, and Indian soldiers are watching the movement of the enemies, and they are defending our country. So it is their prime duty. So that is the duty of the government to give protection to the people. So he has to strengthen the army, military services. That is the second important thing to do by the king. And then third, religious worship. Religious worship. A king has to make every arrangement for the people to go to their respective worship place, and then they can do their worship without any disturbance. So a king should ensure. See, because India, you just take it in example, India is a secular state. Yeah, people belonging to all religions are living harmoniously in India. Okay, so every people belonging to different religions have their own rights to do their worship in their own way. So Muslims, they can go to mosque, Christians, they can go to the church, Hindus, they can go to the temple. So a king has to provide, a king has to ensure the rights of the people to do their religious worship. Okay, so that is maybe the important thing to do. So the suggestions were given by the people as an answer for the third question. So that was received by the king, and then the king carefully analyzed all the suggestions given by the wise people, and he himself has to decide what probable answer he has to see, right things to do. Right things to do. First, he has to defend. He has to strengthen. He has to strengthen his army, so he can save the people. He can save the people from the foreigners, foreign aggressive and enemies, foreign invasion. Okay, see, look at this picture. So the army has to be strengthened. See the second, the work related with the science. So the king has to do more and more for to develop the scientific base of the country. That's very important. So the people can go for learning more things. How to keep their country free from pollution free. Okay, fine. Then see, the religious people. Every religion has to be respected. The people belonging to different religions has to be given rights to carry on their religious worship. That should be ensured by the king. In India, our Indian government has ensured all these things. See, the right things to do, protection, giving protection, strengthening the army, doing scientific works, making the strong base for the growth of science, and then ensuring the religious worship. So these answers were given by the people as an answer for the third question. So all these answers were received by the king. And finally, what he has decided, do you know that? Yeah, let me explain, children. But none of the answer given by these wise people were appropriate, or were not these answers given by these people are not convincing the king. So he is not convinced with any of the answer given by these people. Therefore, he has decided to go and meet a hermit who was living in a hut in the nearby wood. So he was known for his wisdom. So the king has finally decided to go and meet the hermit to get proper and appropriate answer for these three questions. How he went, whether he met the hermit, whether did he get the answer for these questions, everything I will explain you. So the first part of this lesson deals with these things. See the three questions. Take your text, children, keep the text with you and read the lines, then you will get answers. See, the king sent messengers throughout the kingdom promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. See, let me read out the first stanza. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fall if he knew three things. That was things which was raised by the king, and he wants to be justice, so he would never fail if he know the answer for these three things. These three things were what's the right time to begin something, which people should he listen to, what is the most important thing for him to do. Okay, fine. Then the king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. Okay. Many wise men came to the king, but they all answered questions differently. In reply to the first questions, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at its proper time? Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on, avoid foolish pleasures, and always do whatever seemed necessary at that time. So yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one would not find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others, the right time for every action. But then others said that there were some things which could be urgent. These things could not wait for the decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future, and only magicians could do that. Yeah. The king therefore would have to go to the magicians. See, look here, children, I am reading out all these things from your text. Okay, whenever you are going to watch these recorded video, keep the textbook with you and it will help you to understand the lesson properly. Okay, fine. In their answers to the second questions, some said that the people most necessary to the king were his counselors, others said the priest, a few others chose the doctors, and yet others said that his soldiers were the most necessary. To the third question, some said science, others choose fighting, and yet others religious worship. Okay, fine. So, up to this, I have explained what are all the questions raised by the king and what are the probable answers he received from the wise people. As the answers to these questions were so different, the king was not satisfied and he gave no reward to anyone. Instead, he has decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit who was widely known for his wisdom. So the king finally decided to go to meet a hermit who was living in the nearby wood in his hut, and he was known for his wisdom. So the king has decided to go and meet the hermit and see why he has chosen to receive the words of the hermit, because that hermit was known for his wisdom. Therefore the king has decided to meet the hermit. And whether see this picture, see, he was the king and he was the hermit. So the king has decided to meet the hermit. He was known for his wisdom. He was known for his wisdom and he was living in a hut in the nearby wood. Therefore, the king has decided to go and approach the hermit to get proper answer for his questions. Okay, fine. Let's see what happened, children. So the hermit lived in a wood which he never left. And normally the hermit liked to meet only the people who are very simple. That's very important. So as the king was not at all satisfied with the hermit was living in the nearby wood and he would like to see only common people. So the king has to go in his disguise. If he goes in his royal robes, the hermit will never allow him to meet him. Therefore the king has decided to go and meet the hermit in simple dress. So the king put on ordinary clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and he alone went to meet the hermit. See the picture. It is in your text, children. I already shown you a chart. So this is the picture which was given in your text. Okay. So as I told you, what type of man was the hermit? Yeah, the hermit was a simple man, but he is known for his wisdom. He likes to meet only simple people, or he likes to meet only the people who are leading a normal life. So he won't like to meet the people with the luxurious ideas. So he like to see only common people, common folks. He wants to see only the common folks, because these peoples will express everything in a crystal clear manner. They won't hide anything. Okay, fine. And then the king put on ordinary clothes. So before to reach hermit's hut, at some distance he stopped his horse and his bodyguard also, and then he went to the hut of the hermits to meet him alone. What happened there? When the king went to meet the hermit, what was he doing? Let me explain. So when the king approached the hermit, see, a man of wisdom. Hermit was a man of wisdom. He was living in the hut, in the nearby wood. Okay. He wants to meet only the simple or common people. Okay. So keep these ideas in your mind. Okay, children. So hermit was a simple person who was living in a hut in the nearby wood, and he was known for his wisdom, and he is living in the hut in the nearby wood, and he would like to meet always the common people. So the king had changed his dress, and the king put on normal or ordinary clothes, and he stopped his horse with his bodyguard at some distance from the hut. He alone went to meet the hermit in his hut. What happens? When the king approached the hermit, he was digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king. When the king greeted the hermit, he too greeted the king and continued digging without speaking any word to the king. The hermit was old and weak. As he was doing the heavy work of digging the soil, he breathed heavily. Okay. So when the king went to meet the hermit in his hut, he was digging the soil in front of his hut, and see, he became very tired. As he was an old man, he was weak, and as he worked incessantly, he breathed heavily. The king went up to the hermit and expressed to him the purpose of visiting him. Why I came here? I want to know the answer for these three questions. He expressed his purpose of visiting the hermit. He requested him to give answer for the following questions. As I told you already, the hermit listened to the king but did not speak. When the king requested the hermit to give answer for the three questions, the hermit just listened to the king, but he did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired. The king took pity. The hermit listened to the king but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade and work in your place. The king told him, let me do your work. I will help you. I would like to help you. You became very tired of your work. Let me take your spade and work in your place. The king offered to help him. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade. Immediately the hermit expressed his gratitude to the king because he came forward to help him, and he gave his spade to the king. And what then he did? He just sat down on the ground to take rest for some time. So he just sat down on the ground to take rest for some time. Next, what happened? So when the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped. He started doing the work. He almost had dug 2 beds. He stopped and repeated the questions. He asked the hermit, he requested the hermit to give him answer for the question. Immediately what the hermit did? The hermit gave no answer, but he stood up. Okay, thank you. You have done a great job. You came forward to help me. I am very much thankful to you. Give me the spade. Let me continue his work. He just immediately told the king like that. So, but stood up, stretching out his hand. He just came forward. Come on, give me my spade. Let me continue my work. He told him like that, instead of giving answer for the question, and said, now you rest and let me work. You please, you go and take rest for some time and let me do my work. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. Okay, no problem. Let me continue the work. With this word, the king continued his work. He didn't immediately give up the spade. Okay, fine. So 1 hour passed. Nearly 1 hour passed. The sun was almost down behind the trees. The sun was down behind the trees. Okay. And at last the king studied the sea, and the king struck the spade into the ground and said, I came, you wise men, for an answer to my questions. You can give me no answer. Tell me so, and I have to go back to my home. Here comes someone running, said the hermit. So after an hour, the sun was about to set. The sun was about to down behind the trees. So the time up, the king now just spared the spade, and then he approached, oh wise man. Again he requested the hermit, the wise man, I come to get the answer from you, but you didn't give me the answer. If you give me the answer, I will then make a move. You can give me no answer. Tell me so I can return to my home. He requested him. Immediately, the hermit, what happened? See, someone is running. Someone is coming towards our hut. When the hermit told the king, when the hermit pointed out a person who was coming towards the hut, the king just noticed the direction. The king just noticed the direction. What happened? So that is dealt in the second part of this lesson. Okay, so up to this first part. So let me sum up the first part. Once there was a king. He was known for his justice. He was ruling his country in a justice manner. And one day he thought he would never fail if he knew answer for these three questions. He raised himself those three questions: the right time to do certain things, the right person whom he can listen to, the right thing he has to do. So he sent the message, he sent the messengers all over the kingdom to collect answers for these questions. And for the right questions, the person who gives the right answer for the questions will be rewarded. That was also announced by the king. And people came and they gave different answers. For the first question, they gave different options. The right time to do is the preparing his own timetable, getting advice from the counselors, and then meeting the magicians who can give the right options. So these three options were given to him by the wise people, but he was not convinced with any of the answers. For the second questions also, they gave different options. The first one is the king has to listen to the words of counselors, and then they have to listen to the words of the priest. They have to listen to the words of the doctors. They have listened to the words of the soldiers. So these options were given for the second answers, as an answer for the second question. And for the third question also, he has received different options, different answers. The wise people suggested he has to give more importance to the works related with the science, and then he has to strengthen his army, that is fighting. And some other people suggested that religious worship should be given more importance. Okay, fine. But as the king was not satisfied with any one of the answers which were given by the wise people, he himself has decided to meet a wise man, a hermit who was living in the hut in the nearby wood. So he has decided, but he came to know one thing, that the hermit would like to meet only common people. Therefore he changed his dresses. He decided to meet the hermit in a normal dress or ordinary clothes. So he stopped, he installed his horse and bodyguard at some distance from the hut. He alone went to meet the hermit. There he saw the hermit was digging. So he expressed his willingness to help him. He got the spade from the hermit and he started digging the land for him. He expressed his purpose of visiting there. He requested the hermit to give him answer for the three questions. The king told the hermit one by one all the three questions. The hermit listened to him, but he did not say any answers. So he continued his work. It was the sun was about to set. So the king stopped his work, taking the land, making the bud. Then finally he requested the hermit to give me the answer, then I would return to my home. So when it happened, suddenly both of them were attracted by the scene of a running man. A man was just running towards their hut. The hermit pointed out, see, look, a man was coming so fast towards our hut. Both of them just started to notice the man. What happened? Who was he? Why he was running towards the hut? I will explain everything in the next video class. Okay, children, I hope all of you could understand this lesson well. Go through your text, read the lessons line by line, word by word, and underline the hard words. If you couldn't understand the meaning for any of the words, almost I have explained every word. You just refer to a good dictionary, look up the good dictionary, and you can write the meaning for such words. And at the end of the lesson, I will give you some assignments as well as worksheets. That should be done in your homework, in your classwork note neatly. I will explain what you have to do, what you have to write in your note. Till that, just listen and just go through the lessons and understand it. Okay children, thank you. Have a nice day.